In this edition of Southern Newsweek, Southerners have received a dose of reality after basking in summer-like weather. Now heavy rain has fallen in parts of the south, including Queenstown and central Otago. Recreational whitebaiters on the west coast are pleased with a high number of the translucent delicacy being caught. And competitive freedivers put their bodies on the line as they took part in a freediving competition in Queenstown. Kia ora, I'm Sophie Morris. Southerners have received a dose of reality after basking in summer-like weather at the weekend. Snow and heavy rain has fallen in parts of the south, including Queenstown and central Otago.
Heavy snow began falling at around 4 a.m. in Queenstown, leaving parts of the resort without power. Up to 15 centimetres settled on the ground in some of the resort's suburbs. All schools and numerous daycare centres in the resort were closed, and all flights scheduled to arrive at or depart Queenstown Airport were either delayed or cancelled. Heavy snow also fell in Wanaka and other parts of central Otago. Close to 50 centimetres fell at Codrona ski field, making it the largest snowfall it's received this winter. The Remarkables and Coronet Peak ski field were also closed, while Treble Cone received a huge amount of snow. Snow and ice warnings for roads were in place for many parts of the south, including Alpine Passes, the Crown Range Road linking Queenstown and Wanaka, and the Kawadale Gorge. The Milford Road has stayed shut today due to heavy avalanche risk. The cold front is forecast to move across the South Island, bringing with it high winds, rain and significant snow for some areas. In central Otago, the south today.
The Kiwi designers behind a world-leading bionic hand have set their next challenge to create a much smaller version for children. David Lovegrove and the design team at Form Function in Christchurch are finalists at the upcoming Best Design Awards for their innovative Tasker bionic hand. And for one Dunedin man, their dedication to keep pushing the boundaries has proven life-changing.
Strong enough to crush a tennis ball, but delicate enough to grasp an egg without breaking the shell, the Tasker hand is the brainchild of Christchurch company Form Function. For Dunedin sculptor Gavin Wilson, the invention has been life-changing.
I had a different bionic hand which was from Scotland, so I had a socket that could be used. So the guy asked me if I'd trial his hand for him. So I said yes, and fantastic.
Designers have spent thousands of hours improving the hand, which is a tiny motor, gearbox and clutch for each finger and 2 for its thumb. Wilson, who lost his hand 6 years ago after he put his arm in a shredding machine, has one of the most advanced versions of the Tasker hands, making everyday activities much easier.
Same as simple things like eating a yogurt, peeling a banana, lighting a match, putting toothpaste on your toothbrush, dressing, cleaning your hand. The list just goes on. It's things that you just don't think about, you know.
Sensors are activated by the muscles in his arm, so if he tenses them it will do one thing. If he flexes the muscles, the hand will change position. And importantly, the hand is completely waterproof.
Yeah, it's you can wash with it. So dishes, not that I do them. Dishes, washing, carp, fishing, fantastic. And just cleaning it, and or cleaning your hand. It's just it can handle water, so not a problem.
Wilson's bionic hand is worth $35,000, and the designers are now turning their attention to a much smaller version for children. The Tasker bionic hand is also a finalist in the Best Design Awards, the largest in Australasia, with the winner set to be announced this weekend. In Dunedin, the south today.
Recreational whitebaiters on the west coast are pleased with a high number of the translucent delicacy being caught, and the region's rivers appear to be delivering one of the best seasons in years.
Large catches of little fish. A couple of experienced locals happy to share tales of whitebaiting on the Taramakau River. They say the season has been a bumper one so far.
Probably a little bit better than there has been of years, I think. It's the bait is absolutely beautiful. It's clear as, and yeah, so we're quite happy.
O'Connor says these crystal clear waters are helping to provide good-sized catches of quality fish, and fellow whitebaiter Michael McGrath bought the stand a few years ago and says conditions this year are fabulous.
Well, the season started off pretty good. We've had a lot of fine weather. This is the first bit of a fresh we've had in the river. which by now we've normally had a good sized flood. It's holding up. There is a little bit of bait around.
McGrath says other whitebaiters on the river are also reporting good catches of the aquatic delicacy. On the west coast, the South Today.
Their bodies shook and their faces turned blue as New Zealand's best freedivers kept holding their breath in Queenstown over the weekend. And for one competitor, it was a chance to show off her home region to her fellow freedivers.
Just some of the competitors at the 3-day Freediving New Zealand Pool Nationals competition at Alpine Aqualand Pool in Frankton. Organiser and competitor Catherine Nevitt held her breath for 7 minutes and 7 seconds.
I was hoping for over 7.
Yep.
I would have liked a bit more, but I'm organising the competition as well, so it took me a little bit longer to kind of settle down, and I just kind of ran out of time. So.
Yeah.
In static apnea, divers hold their breath for as long as they can while lying face down on the water. Competitors say the sport offers a mental challenge different from the physical demands of other sports.
We've never held a freediving competition in the South Island before, so this is the first time, and it's great to bring all my friends down here and see where I'm living and what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Nevitt, who hails from Arrowtown and is a former world champion and world record holder in various disciplines, says it's great to have the competition in Queenstown.
We've got 26 competitors, which is awesome for us. Everyone's on board and the officials are helping out with the organisation, so I've been able to step back and everyone's pretty happy and enjoying the beautiful Queenstown weather.
And for the record, Titahi Bay's Guy Brew held his breath for 8 minutes and 11 seconds. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek, the Royal Albatrosses return to Dunedin, and Dunedin's Kaikorai Brass Band gives its debut performance in Hanover Hall. Welcome back. Several categories of off-road racers battled it out on a country property near Kurau over the weekend. The annual New Zealand Off-Road Racing Championships Southern Dirt Fest saw 42 cars competing in a short course event on Saturday, which was followed with an endurance race on Sunday.
We're outside Kurau in the Waitaki Valley, and this is a new track for the championship. It's been used for club events. It's on the Slee property, and they have very kindly basically terraformed a track for us that is probably one of the best in the championship. We've got 3 or 4 here from the North Island, absolutely raving about the track. Fast enough for the big cars, but technical enough for everyone else as well.
Probably just like the adrenaline rush, you know. I'm not all about like winning. I'm just like out there to have fun. Yeah, and the dirt and stuff. It's pretty cool. Well, we're always competing. We've been competing in them since we were in the J classes, so we've always been like trying to beat each other and take each other out.
These short course events are all between 1 and 1.5 kilometres long. That lets it be a stadium type event where spectators can see all of the action, and there's always a lot of action. The other half of this weekend tomorrow is the 200 kilometre enduro, which uses this track, but it's a 20 kilometre lap, so 10 laps out on the Slee farm to decide the winner of the whole weekend. Most guys won't stop for fuel. They won't basically stop until the checkered flag. If you have to stop, then you're at a disadvantage to the guys who can do that whole distance flat out on one tank of gas.
Bells rang out across Dunedin earlier this week in celebration of the return of the first albatross to Otago Peninsula. After months away at sea, dozens of royal albatrosses will eventually arrive at Taiaroa Head Colony to breed and raise chicks over the summer.
Making quite a din. Pupils of St Leonard's School join in with the 1 p.m. welcoming of the season's first albatross back to the mainland today. The school was one of at least 7 making an occasion of ringing every available bell.
Well, we raided the music supplies, found everything that makes a jingly noise, and yeah, it wasn't too hard to find enough chimes and bells and things.
The celebration of Otago's famous birds is something that fits well with the school values.
It's a very special part of our of Otago, of being here in Dunedin, and being in a Enviro school, we care deeply about our creatures and our birds in particular, so it's important to us for our kids to know. Yeah.
Bell ringers were also put to work around Dunedin at 5 different churches, including a team busy at First Church, plus lay minister Bruce Aitken on hand at St Paul's Cathedral. He says the event helps the church bond with the community.
Once the albatrosses come back into the city, it's the church being part of the whole community, welcoming this very important icon to the life of Dunedin back.
Mm-hmm. And he says tolling the bell isn't as hard as it looks.
It's a bit of an effort to get it started, but once the bell starts to go on the full swing, it's just a matter of maintaining that, so it's not that hard after that.
This summer marks 80 years since the first albatross chick fledged at Tairoa Head in 1938. In Dunedin, for the South Today.
Dunedin's Kaikorai Brass Band gave its debut performance in Hanover Hall recently. The conductor is among the people singing the venue's praises after their 2-hour concert.
Brassed on! Dunedin's Kaikorai Brass Band recently took the opportunity to fill Dunedin Symphonia's home with sound in a 2-hour concert of well-polished material. Conductor Ron Caldwell says performing like this keeps the players in tune with each other.
It's a good opportunity for bands, to get out and react with the communities out there, because principally bands like to contest there, and they stand there in their band rooms there, but they need to get out there and spread the word, so to speak, there, and it helps future sponsors and new members, that sort of thing there. But it's all about ego too. You like to perform. We're all performers. We're all like Pink, you see.
Kaikorai Brass has played around the city, both in other venues as well as outside events. Caldwell says this venue lends itself to their big brassy sound once the members have adjusted.
Yes, it's the first time we've played in here. It's a different acoustic. Because when you play in a different acoustic there, it takes a wee while to adjust. People tend to sort of go in themselves there, but no, that's just part of the experience. You learn to adapt for such here. So no, it's fine building. I like to see buildings like this, continue on, have another life.
He put the program together and says it's tailored to suit the players and aimed to please an audience.
Okay, so you sort of sit down and you cut your cloth accordingly there. What pieces are within the capabilities of the players you've got there. You try and balance it, but also very important there, and a lot of artists forget this, is you want to play music that people want to hear. We quite often play what we want to play, but you try and sort of tap into the city, or the city life as such there. What's relevant and what still has appeal.
One of the pieces on the program was played in remembrance of the 9/11 attacks in America. Caldwell says it's a fitting addition to the program.
But I thought, just something that, as I said, the sanctity of life there is very precious as such there, and sometimes it's snatched away from you, without any explanation or reason there, and it's the poor souls that are left behind there, you see. So, yeah, a bit of a humanitarian, I suppose, romantic at heart there, as such. Yeah.
He describes himself as a caretaker conductor and is relinquishing the baton to a successor, who he hopes can drive the band along in good time. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on Southern Newsweek. It's 125 years since women successfully fought for the right to vote, and Southland school pupils have been working to answer some of life's important questions for the Southland Science and Technology Fair in Invercargill. Welcome back. It's 125 years since women successfully fought for the right to vote, making New Zealand the first country to allow women to do so. Southern Region Police have taken part in events to mark the milestone, including at Dunedin's Octagon.
Rallying the troops. Police officers assembled on the Municipal Chamber steps today as part of celebrations marking the day 125 years ago when women were given the right to vote. Constable Adele Williams says it took a while longer for women to be accepted into the police.
It's probably brought us a long way forward in the future. So 125 years ago we got the right to vote in New Zealand, but it's only been 77 years since we've had women in the police. So I believe that has some significance in where we are today.
Dunedin City Councillor Rachel Elder represented the city at today's event, bringing a keen sense of history.
Women's suffrage came out of the women's temperance movement, which was about New Zealand was going through a depression in the 1880s, and there was a lot of problems with alcohol and family violence, and people spending too much money on alcohol and not paying the mortgage or the rent. And so women wanted a voice in that, and so the women's temperance movement was born.
Elder says Southern women led the charge then and have been leading the way ever since.
We also had the first women's school, girls' school. We had the first woman going through university. So the women in Dunedin had already been flexing their muscles and making things good for women here. So I think that's quite exciting. We were actually the first.
Constable Williams is proud to be one of a growing number of women who've entered the police force in recent years and says she has pretty straightforward reasons for joining.
To help people, that's the most important thing about being out in the community and people feeling safe and being safe.
Currently 18% of New Zealand police are women, with that number set to rise in the coming years. In Dunedin, the South Today.
What's the best way to preserve bread? Who grows the fastest, boys or girls? Southland school pupils have been working to answer some of life's important questions and have presented their findings at the Southland Science and Technology Fair in Invercargill.
Hundreds of primary and secondary pupils exhibiting their science and technology research projects to be scrutinised by a panel of judges. Pupils selected a question to investigate and were tasked with controlling the variables while doing so. Southland Science and Technology Fair head judge Samantha York says it can be quite nerve-wracking.
They've done a considerable amount of work in some cases, and they have to kind of convey the essence, if you like, of their project.
After more than 20 years judging, York has seen a lot of projects, but she says some still manage to surprise.
I think when you do something really challenging, you find out a lot about yourself, and this is quite challenging for a lot of kids. But every so often you just go, wow, that idea is just so amazing, why didn't we think of that?
Haroko Valley Primary is a first-time entry at the fair, driving an hour from Western Southland to exhibit its projects. Pupils Jendi Minty and Taylor Davey Hubbard have tried to find the best way to preserve bread.
We had to wrap them in beeswax wrap, Glad wrap, baking paper, a snaplock bag and an airtight container.
And 6 mouldy sandwiches later came to their conclusion.
We found out that the snaplock bag had worked the best, so it had kept the moisture out for the longest, and we presumed that it had, from our hypothesis, we presumed that this would happen because it was airtight.
A prize giving announcing the winning entries will be held on Friday night in Invercargill, the South Today.
Next year sees the celebration of 250 years since Captain Cook first visited New Zealand in 1769. One of the scientists on board was Swedish botanist Daniel Solander, who now has a trail in Dunedin Botanic Garden named after him. Recently, the Swedish ambassador visited the walk and spoke of upcoming plans for next year's anniversary celebrations.
Taking a walk along the Solander Trail, the Swedish ambassador checking out native plants first described by Swedish botanist Daniel Solander, who accompanied Captain Cook on his first voyage to New Zealand.
The purpose for my visit here is to discuss with the community in Dunedin, university, Botanic Society and obviously the garden, how we can commemorate 1769 when Daniel Solander was the main botanist on board the Endeavour.
Auberger says Sweden will be putting a lot of effort into the upcoming 250th anniversary of Cook and Solander's visit to New Zealand.
It gives us, Sweden and New Zealand, it gives us an occasion for conversation on botany, biodiversity and sustainability. And I know that both our countries, we rank that very high on our respective agendas.
The garden's trail features 10 of the many native plants Solander described while here. Information Services Officer Claire Fraser says visitors should feel free to use a little fold-out guide to assist their walk.
And so they're all in this wee brochure, and it's a tiny little walk really. It's not more than 100 metres from one plant to another, and visitors can see them in probably about, I don't know, half an hour.
Auberger is keen to point out that Tupaia, the Hawaiian guide who acted as translator between Captain Cook and a Maori, assisted Solander in describing New Zealand's trees and plants.
We know from the manuscripts from Solander that he also documented the Maori names of these plants collected. And it was obviously done through Tupaia. So I think what I hope is that the story of Solander and the story of Tupaia, they are mutually reinforcing. In a way you could describe them as outsiders possibly on the ship in terms of nationality, but also the background as scholars.
The Solander Trail is one of several walks around a botanic garden that now have their own pamphlet to assist walkers. In Dunedin, for the South Today.
That's all for Southern Newsweek. Head online and check us out on Facebook or keep up with Southern News via our website, channel39.co.nz. I'm Sophie Morris. Thanks for watching.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.